Hey there, and welcome back to Remnant 2. Mike's a little weird. We're going to be doing a bit of a status mod sort of build, which, I mean, status builds are really strong. You use a ritualist, it's just phenomenal, right? It's great at clearing ads. It's pretty good against bosses as long as you can stack up a bunch of damage over time effects, and depending on what you're actually set up doing, you can really melt some guys. So what are we doing that's a little different with this one? Well, it's all Red Prince inspired. It was a bit of a deviation from what I was working on, but it's pretty fun. Lots of blood, chains, and fire. So it's enjoyable, and it's all mostly focused around using the Sparkfire shotgun and blood draw. That's like the centerpiece of the whole build, but we'll get to that part. That'll be kind of the last piece we touch on, but let's start at the top. So we've got the ritualist because we are doing a lot of status effects. Now, it's not going to be a like make or break for the build, but it does work really nicely. That spread effect from the Vile Prime perk is amazing. You know, dealing extra damage to guys with status effects is good. Like, it's overall good, but you can run it with other things. Just depends on what you want to do, right? If you really like the hunter, I mean, you could run the hunter on there. You could do more or less whatever you want, because the overall bones of it with the rest of the setup are going to work pretty well. And then my secondary, I've chosen the Archon because we are using the mods quite a bit. That's like really what I wanted to lean into. So Archon is just a natural choice, right? It helps with some mod damage, helps with mod crit chance, generation, all those things. So it's just a choice to do, right? And then because I am doing a bit of like a knight from the Red Prince or a Fey Red Prince inspired whatever, the full Crimson Guard armor is the choice, and pretty much all the equipment that I am using here is like Lawsome or Fey inspired. So we've got the Unsullied Heart. This is our relic. I typically don't use it, so I'm getting some mileage out of it. Now, heals 100% of your current health over a half a second, so, you know, it can do some good things. It can also be bad if you're really low, so it's got some pros, got some cons, right? But we've got extra health in there. We've got mod and skill cast speed because we want that cast speed for the blood draw. It's really important. And then mythic elemental damage because we're doing a fair amount of elemental damage. So this is going to help us out quite a bit. Physical damage would be nice if that was actually an option. And let me double check to make sure I'm not crazy and I missed it. Yeah, no physical damage mods, which would be pretty strong, but also plus elemental damage is really strong as well because it increases any of the elemental damages that we're doing. And we are doing, you know, a bit of fire, so that's why I ended up going with that rather than doing a range one or anything like that. But if you want more defense, you could swap out that elemental damage for, you know, more armor, damage reduction, something, or maybe another quality of life thing, right? Now for the amulets amulet and rings, so we've got the chains of amplification. Since we're doing chain stuff, it just made sense to use this one. And we're doing a lot of status effects, so anytime we have a status effect on a target, we do 20% more damage to them. Constantly having status effects on enemies, constantly dealing bonus damage to them. And with a prime perk, even if we put it on one dude, we get rid of that dude, it spreads to everybody, and now we're just doing more damage to everybody, which is great. Now our rings, Stone of Malevolence, awesome ring. Fantastic ring is great, right? Any elemental damage you deals or generates 15% more mod power. This thing generates a ton of mod power depending on the mod that you want to use. Even with our gun, it's going to be generating a lot of mod power. It's just a great ring, especially when you're trying to use mods. The Red Ring of Death, we're doing status effects. We're using stuff for the Red Prince. This one just fits the bill, right? It's just a natural choice. But you could go with any kind of status effect type of ring if you want to double down on it, whatever type you want, etc., you know, swap it around depending on what you have and what you need. Singed Ring, because we are doing a pretty good amount of burning, so anytime we have burning on the enemies, they're taking 10% more damage, so this is going to work out nicely for us. And then the last ring I've swapped around quite a bit. This is kind of my flex spot, so Ring of the Robust, increasing our health, increasing our armor. It's just a nice little extra defensive choice since all our other choices are pretty much damage-based, right? Singed Ring, damage. Red Ring, damage. Malevolence is like a utility, but feeding into our damage ultimately. And then Chains of Amplification, damage, right? So having something that gives us a little bit more defense is kind of nice. I like that. And the like flavor text and stuff, it kind of fits with like the Red Prince's mother, like the lore of it and stuff. So I thought it was pretty fitting. Now let's get to the important stuff, the gun. Sparkfire shotgun, that is like the star of the show right now. It's a shotgun, does shotgun things, except it catches them on fire. It deals fire damage. It doesn't just do physical damage and then inflict burning. It does burning damage. It does fire damage. So when we use the Stone of Malevolence, increasing how much mod power we generate from elemental damage, our shots are generating more mod power now. And with the mutator on there, we've got Maelstrom. Maelstrom increases a weapon's elemental damage by 10%, but that's kind of the secondary effect. We're not built super well around that. If we wanted, we could really stack into that and start generating our like mod or status damage to do like 20-30% extra damage. But for right now, it's going to be mostly 10, maybe 20. But then we've got the level 10 effect. It increases mod power generation of elemental damage and elemental status damage by 20%. Every shot on this thing is elemental damage. And with this boosting us, Spirit trait boosting us, and the Stone of Malevolence, our Bloodjaw is going to be ready in 1 or 2 shots. So what's going to happen is we use Bloodjaw, hit some guys with some chains, yank them, deal damage, bleed them, and if they're an elite, they're still going to be standing, because most of your trash guys, they're going to go down from that or be so close that the bleeding or burning is going to get rid of them. But then you shoot the elite, instantly charges up the Bloodjaw, and you immediately do it again. Pull them, it staggers them, shoot them one more time, Bloodjaw's ready again. You pull them again, they're staggered, you shoot them again, and you're caught in a loop perpetually. They can't do anything about it. And overall, it's worked really nicely. And if you haven't used Bloodjaw before, I really like it. It's just very finicky. It doesn't really like you and the enemy being on like different elevations, like stairs are the like death of it. It's just, sometimes it's like hitting mechanic and stuff is a little janky. And the other part of it is that it's kind of slow. There's a big like fire animation where it hooks into them, and that doesn't necessarily stagger them. And then you got to wait until you pull them back, and the enemies can still be hitting you in between there. And that's really obnoxious. That's killed me before. So that's why I put the mod cast speed, and that's why I also have Flash Caster from the Archon. Archon gives us that. So now it's a much faster, much safer for us to use, and much more efficient. After that, we've got the Assassin's Dagger. Obviously not what the Red Prince is going to use, but it is something that you use in his fight, gives you his crown and stuff. It does bleeding, which is cool. I put Stormbringer in there. If you wanted to be more efficient, more like, you know, optimize and stuff, Tainted Blade is just going to be the better choice. Having the extra other status effect is just way better, and overall, this is going to end up doing more damage than doing the damage status resistance lowering and stuff. So, I mean, this is going to be your choice. I like Stormbringer, and, you know, yeah. You could also maybe go into, like, Vampire Blade or something like that, since you do have bleeding effects going on. Then I've got the double barrel. I've already got one shotgun. I doubled down on the shotguns. We've got the double barrel. So this thing is, I mean, does a double barrel. It's a solid gun. We put Firestorm in there because that's what the Red Prince have, and the Firestorm is very strong, right? It's going to be able to allow us to super clear ads. Like, you can do a lot of just constant Firestorm spam, but we're not going to do that because that's not the focus of the build. We're just going to like selectively use it and then like just go from there. It is really nice. What you can do is a big group of guys, if for some reason they don't just immediately die to the Firestorm, you put down the Firestorm, it sucks in guys, and then while they're in there, you pull in the Bloodjaw and you just yank, do a bunch of damage and bleed them. But because they're pulled by the Firestorm, they don't actually come out of the Firestorm. They just take the damage, start bleeding, and they stay in the Firestorm, taking more fire damage. So overall, it's kind of a fun combo. I did put Twisting Wounds in there because I was doubling down on the bleeding stuff. Twisting Wounds doesn't really add that much bleeding. It does help increase the damage of the shotgun to bleeding enemies, but really, again, the optimal choice is probably going to be Fetid Wounds as far as having another status effect goes. Now, trait-wise, I've done, it's just my standard like Apocalypse setup with like Triage, Fortify, Regrowth, all the things that like keep me alive. But specifically for this setup, I did put points into Kinship because we have Firestorm. We don't want to burn ourselves alive, or teammates if you're playing in multiplayer. A couple points in Strongback, so I've got that weight down to a medium, and then I can medium roll. Spirit, we want to max out so that we're constantly able to use like our Bloodjaw mod. And then the handling, I put like 5 points into handling so that, you know, our shotgun has a little bit better spread, both of them. And then Tranquility Font is a concoction that I'm going to use so that our spread is even better. Look at that. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now we're going back through the Gilded Chambers because I'm trying to get all the coins so that I can offer them up to the Red Prince, because we're a knight of the Red Prince. So we're not going to fight him. We're going to fight the True King for our boss. And then in here, we're just going to clear out some ads, show you how it does. For the most part, I mean, it's going to do like what any status effect ritualist build does, and that's do like good status effect damage that then spreads and just clears rooms from guys. So what we will like to do, though, is we start with a chain. Boom. And see how he kept going through that? Like, even though we hit him with the initial impact, it didn't stagger him. It wasn't until we pulled it that it dealt damage and then would, like, stagger him. But what we would do that is hit him with the chains first so we're ready to charge it. And then in a single shot, look how, like, far up. See, 2 shots, already fully charged. Pull him with a chain, yoink, he's gone. And then we get ready for these guys. 1 shot, 2 shot, hit them, and there they go. Look how satisfying that is. It's so good. I really like it. And that one's already ready to go. And then what we can do, we can pull him into a firestorm and maybe keep him under control. And then chain. His teleport's really going to mess it up. But see how we were charged in a single shot? And then we just yank again. And we just keep doing that to elites. And there's nothing they can do about it. That guy, you know, because they can teleport and they block things with their swords, it does mess it up a bit. But most of your other, like, elites, your big guys, your other, like, castery ones and stuff, there's, you know, once you start the, like, rhythm going, once you've got the rotation, they can't do anything about it. Yoink. And then they just burn and bleed. Burn and bleed. Oh, no. Yoink. And that's just how it's going to go. And we've got Firestorm in our pocket in case anytime we feel like we're really being, like, overrun. We just set that up, and they can't go through a whole space. And it sucks them and deals damage. We've got kinship, so we won't, you know, burn ourselves alive or anything like that. So we're going to be very solid there. And if we really need to, we've also got the Assassin's Blade. They come in close, you hit them with that. It's got a double stack of bleeding thanks to the Red Prince. Lowers their resistances. And overall, just does a good amount of damage. Now, I feel like it should have hit that second dude there, but it didn't. But look how quickly the blood draw is, like, ready to go. And then just like that, both of them gone. Go into this next room, we're going to shoot somebody and get it charged and ready in, like, just one shot that time, see? And we didn't need to pull because the burning took care of it. And then we yank him. It's really fun. I do really enjoy it. And it does decent on the bosses. You just have to really choose your moment to do the blood draw because it does have that bit of a wind up. And so you can find yourself in a bad spot if you're not careful about it. But when we get to the One True King, I'll show you how it does it there. For the most part, there's not really much more to show you except the same rotation of me just, like, you know, clearing out guys. Also, the Reality Rune. We'll talk about that because that is really nice for our setup too. You set up a choke point like that, and then they're super slow, giving you all the time in the world to really deal with them. You could even just, like, stay in there because it gives you that damage resistance, which is really nice as well. Alright, let's take on the True King. I don't know. The only world boss I fought with this setup was Shahala, and Shahala is just awful for status effects. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you do a status build, is just, what are you fighting, you know? I mean, and at 1.2, I went through the, what's it called? Kiln. Cotton's Kiln. So there's a lot of fire guys, which meant a lot of my fire stuff didn't work. I mean, we were able to bleed guys and got through it fine. But, yeah. Here we go. Also, I haven't fought this guy in a while. Yeah. Oh, God. My game just freaked out. Should be able to hit him in between there. Yeah, that speed cast is really helpful there. Oh, Lord. Roll. Ooh, come on. There we go. Yeah, the quick charge on this stuff is pretty nice. Almost gonna break in a moment. Ooh, I messed that roll up. I need to heal. Boom. Then we'll chain him. There we are. I kind of want to firestorm him, but I'm a little afraid he's gonna, like, hit me with things. We should also miasma him as well. Good thing with the increased cat's speed is it also affects our skills. So, like, we are able to get the faster miasma out, which is nice as well. So we can actually use it quickly and then move from there. Now, with all those extra status effects, it's really going to help us out to charge up our blood draw, even firestorm as well. We're going to drop a reality rune and maybe do a firestorm over there. Oh, I forgot he does that. I forgot he has instant death beam blasts or something, whatever you want to call those. Oops. So I'm going to have to pay more attention. And maybe I can't sit in a reality rune and do nothing. Alright. Alright, now we're back. See if we can't do it this time. There we go, pulling in lots of them. If we can start spreading some status effects, this will help us out quite a bit. Boom. There we go. Oh, yep. Rolling out of those. Nice roll. There we go. Nice. All right, good to go. All right, much better that time. Remembered that, you know, I can't just sit there and do nothing. Let's hit him with Miasma as well. It's going to help us out with our mod generation. Oh, too low. Oh, I was way too early on that other roll. Whoops. Going around like this. There we go. Focusing up. There we go. I should break here in just a moment. Let's get ourselves fully reloaded for it. Boom. Yoink. Firestorm too, because we can. More bleeding effects. Oh, he's got Drain. I didn't notice that earlier. That's okay. And more chains. Boom. There we are. Yeah, good miasma. Quick miasma. Get ourselves fully reloaded while we get ready to kind of capitalize on him being down a little bit. One more chain. Come on, get him before he does it again. Oh, damn it. I was really hoping to finish him before he did this whole thing again. Alright, let's try and put out a Firestorm there. Boom. Boom. Maybe we can hit a Miasma. And that should catch a bunch of dudes so that the spread is going to clear them out. Now, this would be a lot more efficient if we had the amplitude because that spread range would be much greater. Even the Firestorm to be catching more guys, especially in this large open room. You know, then we're not worried about us getting pulled into it because it's nowhere near us. There we are. And now we finish him off. Maybe? Come on. There we go. He's gone. Should be. Oh, finish, please. Thank you. All right, yeah. Worked fine there, right? The status effects are just really strong. Pretty good for bosses. The ability to just kind of constantly spit out the chain is satisfying, fun. You're not going to be able to stagger the bosses, but, you know, it's fine. I mean, we did it. We did it just fine. And if you really didn't want to do the chains and stuff, the Maelstrom combo with Sparkfire and Stone of Malevolence will really allow you to put out the kind of whatever mod you're looking to do. I mean, if you wanted it to be Firestorm, that's a pretty solid way you could just be spitting out Firestorms constantly every shot. But there's all kinds of ways to do that already. So, I mean, you could do it with any other one. Like, you know, roll it with a Voltaic Rondor, run it with Witchfire, do it with whichever one you want. Preferably, I'd say one that's kind of doing damage. I was messing around with Soulbinder. That was pretty entertaining to do because you could just hit a dude with Soulbinder, shoot him once, watch the damage kind of split and hit a bunch of guys, and then it was already ready, so you could hit like another dude, hit that guy, watch it like spread and like double hit guys. It was kind of entertaining. Not very efficient at all, but you know, it's an option. But there you have it. That's the build. Bit of a Red Prince inspired statusy mod build. Pretty enjoyable. Blood draws fun when you get it to work, you know. Just gotta kind of sort of build around it. Maelstrom is pretty satisfying, especially with Sparkfire, but you could do it with some other mod, you know, elemental guns as well. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Always really appreciate it when you do check it out, and until the next one, take care.